I'm sorry. I apologize. That sentence right there will save many relationships. It will prevent many arguments. And it will definitely diffuse 98, 99% of the disagreements you have with your significant other. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Apologizing is a key to survival in a relationship because most of us, how can I put it? Apologizing doesn't mean that you're wrong and the other person's right. Apologizing means that you value your relationship with the other person more than you value your ego. And that's what gets us in a lot of trouble with a lot of our relationships is ego. Everybody feels like they got to be right. But when you keep fighting and pushing the point of you being right, what you're telling the other person is me being right, me winning is more important than your feelings. It's more important than our relationship. Like, I don't care about how you feel as much as I care about you acknowledging I'm right. And that's really all an ego thing, right? Because what happens? Nobody ever wants to be wrong. So when you sit in someone's face, especially someone you love or someone that loves you, and you're constantly pointing, yelling, and telling them or demeaning them and telling them that they aren't right, I mean, you're causing irreparable harm. Like, people don't come back from that all the time, right? Especially if you do it consistently. If you're consistently bombarding people with they're wrong and you're right, and you always have to be right about everything, that's a one-sided relationship. And ultimately, what happens is the other person will typically, if they stick around, they shut down. They stop talking. They stop giving opinions, and it stops being a back and forth relationship, and it becomes just a one-sided relationship where the person who's always right gets to talk, the other person just takes it, just listens until they get tired and then they leave. Again, apologizing does not mean that you're wrong and the other person's right. Apologizing means I value our relationship more than I value my ego. There is no place for ego in a successful relationship, right? A lot of times communications break down because, like I said, we're really just waiting to reply. We don't really absorb what the other person said. Sometimes we think the quick answer is the best answer, and that is absolutely not the truth. The quick answer is not the best answer in any regard. You should always stop, absorb what the person's saying, think about it, and then give them a proper response. It's not important to have a quick conversation. It's not important to respond quickly or very fast. It's important to respond respectfully and intelligently. And oftentimes, if you're not listening to understand what the person's saying, your responses are not very good, right? So there's a difference between a good communicator and a bad communicator, and many of us are bad communicators, especially in our relationships. Especially as time goes on in a relationship, we get to the point where we don't listen to understand, and we wonder why talks break down. We wonder why arguments happen, and then when the argument happens, it's even worse because then it's just two people yelling at each other. No one's listening to anyone. But again, we go back to what I spoke on earlier. That's where you apologize. That's where you diffuse the situation and you listen to understand. As a matter of fact, the next time you have an argument with somebody, just take a deep breath and genuinely listen to what they say. Listen to what they're telling you. Like, oftentimes yelling is a cry for help. It's not to berate you. It's not to put you down. Oftentimes it's a cry for help. It's that they don't understand how else to communicate with you. And so to get your attention, they've got to raise their voice. They've got to use harsh words to get your attention. And no, it's not the right way to do it, but you should see that as a trigger point for you to take a step back, take a deep breath, listen to what they're trying to tell you, and respond accordingly. Respond with understanding of what they're trying to get across to you, and respond without yelling and just diffuse the situation. And you'll find that your relationships will last a lot longer, your communications will be a lot better, and everybody in general will just be happy. And you'll probably communicate a lot more. Like, if you communicate better, you'll probably communicate a lot more. So, that's my words for today. Hope that helps. Remember, the apology is not about you saying that they're right and you're wrong. It's about you just telling that person that you value this relationship more than you value your ego. And when you communicate with the intent to understand what they're saying, versus just replying to them, relationships would be a lot better.